Hello to all Cinemaster lovers.
No sé quién sos.
Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. The series Selenkay begins with a girl named Sophia, who is 16 years old. She knows that any girl her age wishes for an exciting life full of adventures, but she dreams of a normal life with ordinary families. Sophia introduces us to Pedro, her father, who lives in his own world, and we learn that he works as a park ranger. Her mother, Iris, always loves joy, and her older brother, Lobo, is always alert, and her younger sister, Volks, is always challenging her. Sophia tells them that the water in this place has special properties. Volks asks her how she knows, and Sophia replies that she read about it. Volks mocks her for believing everything she reads. We learn that Sophia's family is used to living in remote and isolated places because of her father's work, and this time they are going to a new place. When Sophia sees the city, she is very happy, but she is shocked when Pedro asks Iris to change the car's direction, and they enter a park called Selenkay in the city of Rio Vivo. Sophia asks her father why they didn't stop in the city, and Pedro explains that their house is in the middle of the park. When they arrive at the park, it turns out that Volks is very happy with the warm air and excited that they are finally somewhere different from the Antarctic villages they were in before. Sophia gets out and describes the place as a paradise for her family because they love living in the unknown. When Sophia notices that there are no neighbors around, she asks her parents because they told her there would be neighbors nearby. Iris explains that the neighbors are 1,500 meters away because the ranger's house is always near the park entrance. Sophia gets upset and asks when they will live in a normal house because the place they are living in looks like a boat. Her father tells her that they thought she would be happy to have a private lake to swim in. He starts convincing her about the place and tells her she can dive and there are many plants and animals they can explore. Sophia tells them she wants to walk alone, but her mother explains that the city is far and she can't reach it on foot. Her father assures her that they should make the most of this moment and enjoy it together as it's the beginning of a new life for the family. Pedro points to their house and suggests they go see it by boat. Sophia insists she needs to walk alone and promises not to go far. Iris signals to Lobo and Volks as if asking them to watch Sophia, so Volks goes with Lobo to keep an eye on her. Sophia realizes they are watching her, gets annoyed, and feels that every tree respects the personal space of the tree next to it, but she can't achieve that herself. Sophia takes advantage of her siblings being distracted and decides to take a different path away from them until she reaches Lake Selenkay. She sees people far away, gets close to the water, looks down at the lake, and suddenly her foot slips, she falls and her head hits a rock. She loses consciousness but regains it moments later and notices the water around her moving, along with small rocks toward the surface as if lifting them. Sophia returns home and her mother seems very worried about her. Sophia tries to reassure her that she's fine. Her father warns her that she can watch and enjoy nature but must respect it. All of Pedro's children know this advice by heart. Their mother scolds them thinking their behavior is funny. Sophia assures her she's fine and nothing happened, just that her foot slipped and she fell into the lake. She seems to have forgotten what happened next but knows something strange happened that she doesn't understand. Later, Sophia goes to the city with her family, and when they return to the lake, Iris seems tense and tells them she smells smoke. Pedro asks Lobo to go with him, and Sophia insists on joining them. When they reach the fire, they meet three siblings from the Phoenix clan, Raphael, Mikelal, and Gil. Pedro tells them he's the park ranger and informs them that camping or lighting fires in this area is forbidden. Raphael apologizes and assures him they didn't know. Mikelal asks Pedro to show them his ID to make sure he's the ranger. Lobo responds by asking for Mikelal's ID. During this, Sophia approaches Gil, greets him, and seems to like him. Back to Pedro, who explains to Mikelal and Raphael that dealing with nature must be done carefully because a spark can cause disaster. Raphael assures him they didn't know it was so dangerous, since they are new in town. Pedro asks them to get ready because the park is about to close. Raphael says they'll put out the fire and leave. Pedro insists on putting out the fire himself. Meanwhile, Sophia talks to Gil and feels a strange feeling toward him for the first time. She tells Gil that lighting fires here is forbidden. Gil apologizes, saying he didn't know. Before he leaves, Sophia tells him her name, wanting to get to know him, but Gil ignores her and leaves. At that moment, Pedro tells her not to mention what happened in front of her mother so she doesn't worry. The next day, Sophia gets ready for her first day at school. On their way, their father reminds them that he and their mother used to homeschool them. Sophia feels that homeschooling makes her feel more isolated. Iris whispers to Pedro that she's worried about Sophia, but Pedro asks her not to jump to conclusions and to see how things go today. Suddenly, Iris suggests to her children that they return home and start school tomorrow. Sophia objects and says she'll go on foot. Sophia arrives at school, and when she enters the classroom, she hears the teacher explaining a lesson about the power of water and fire, which are considered vital energies that can build or destroy. She hears one of her classmates, Taco, talking about how their ancestors believed that fire and water are the origin of everything, so they respect and protect nature. Gil interrupts, saying that humans destroy nature, not protect it. Sophia tells him not all humans are like that, and asks him not to generalize. Gil explains that he has seen what's happening to the planet. Sophia tells him he's human too, and insists that all humans are guilty. She continues, telling her classmates that she lived in the Antarctic villages where her parents worked, collecting soil samples, and she saw firsthand the pollution affecting the water and causing global warming. She believes that only humans can change what's happening. Gil tells her that people who destroy their homelands don't deserve to live in them. Sophia insists there's always a chance for change in places where such things are forbidden. The teacher intervenes, saying it's a nice debate and sees it as the start of a successful academic year. He welcomes Sophia and tells her she's not the only new one, as Gil is new too, and asks her to choose any seat she likes. Sophia sits next to a student named Diana, who tells her that she greatly admires her eloquence. After school, Sophia goes out with Diana and tells her that she is very happy and feels that the city has many activities to offer. Diana realizes that Sophia comes from an isolated place because the city has a small population and nothing new ever happens. She tells her that she seems to like Gil, but Sophia assures her that's not true. Diana then asks her what Lobo likes, showing that she has a crush on him. Diana walks with Sophia to the abandoned blacksmith's workshop and tells her that the townspeople say it's haunted and that there are many legends about it in Arabic. They hide so no one sees them, and Diana is surprised that Sophia knows Lobo. When they enter the workshop, Diana notices that the Phoenix gang is renovating the place and tells Sophia that there's something strange about them, but she can't pinpoint what it is. At that moment, Sophia notices a strange tree and approaches it, clearly fascinated because it's the first time she's seen a tree able to grow under a roof. Diana confirms that this tree was the only living thing in the place for a long time. Then someone wearing a mask approaches, scaring Sophia, but Diana apologizes and says she was just joking, pointing to the tree and saying it is used to prevent accidents. Sophia is surprised because the tree hasn't been broken, burned, or changed shape. When Sophia approaches the tree, it suddenly catches fire and fills the place with flames. She asks Diana to help her and turn on the water to put out the fire, but Diana is shocked that the water doesn't work and begs Sophia to find someone to help. As Sophia's fear grows, the water in the barrels around her begins to move, suddenly explodes and puts out all the fire. That night, Sophia is in her room thinking that ever since she was a child, there has been a voice inside her asking many questions, like why she is different from everyone around her, so much so that sometimes she sees her family as the different ones, not her. She always liked to be alone, which is why she loved swimming for long periods until she was exhausted and couldn't think about anything. She always considered water her only refuge and was sure she was different but didn't know why. At that moment, she gets a call from Diana on the landline and is surprised, asking her why she's calling, since they agreed only to talk in emergencies. Diana tells her she found an explanation for the fire in the tree and explains that the phenomenon is called latent lightning. Sophia says her parents told her that most forest fires start that way, and Diana confirms that's true, as changes in wind and humidity can cause a tree to catch fire internally. She says what she can't understand is how Sophia was able to put out the fire. At that moment, Chris calls Sophia, so she has to end the call and pretends to be asleep. The next day, Sophia goes to school and meets Diana, who tells her she spent all night investigating and figured out how Sophia put out the fire. She explains that Sophia was able to move the barrels with a superhuman force triggered by a sense of danger and tells her there are many similar cases. Then Sophia enters the classroom and sees Taku playing the guitar. She approaches him and tells him the music is beautiful. Taku tells her he is improvising, so Sophia asks him who composed the music, then apologizes, explaining that she hasn't been able to talk to people because she spent a long time living in isolation and is happy that period is finally over because she loves being around people. Taku tells her he is very attached to this place because his ancestors lived here. Sophia tells him that she saw him alone in the schoolyard yesterday, and now again, and Taku confirms that it's his nature because he likes solitude. He says he enjoys talking to her, which is rare, as he also spent a long time without friends, and sees that as something they have in common. At that moment, Gil enters, looking upset to see them talking. Then Amelia, the mayor's daughter, approaches Sophia because she can't make friends or form relationships. Sophia tells her she's never been in a relationship, so Amelia mocks her and tells her friend that Sophia has never dated. She suggests Sophia come to her house to end any tension between them, but Sophia says it's not necessary since there's no problem between them. Amelia insists it's in Sophia's best interest since she's new and surely wants to make friends, and she knows everyone at school. Sophia is surprised by her tone, and Amelia tells her that Diana is also invited and shocks her by saying Gil will be there too, because she saw how Sophia looked at him. Sophia gets angry, and the water in the nearby well starts to move. Amelia approaches the well to see what's happening, and the water explodes, drenching her. Sophia returns home with Diana, and after a while her parents arrive. Sophia hopes they act naturally, so her friendship with Diana isn't ruined. Pedro and Chris welcome Diana, but suddenly become overly inquisitive, insisting on knowing where she lives, to the point that Pedro asks her to point out her house on the map. Diana goes up to Sophia's room to study, and they start talking about what happened at school. Diana tells her that Amelia is arrogant and thinks she's the city's princess because her father is the mayor. She shows Sophia a tattoo design she wants to draw for both of them to symbolize their friendship. Sophia is deeply moved and assures her she's her only friend and starts to cry. Diana explains that this emotion is normal because the human body is made up of 50 to 55% water, and gives her a book that explains everything related to water. Sophia flips through the book and discovers it explains the phenomenon of water manipulation. She wonders what her connection to water is and asks Diana to leave her the book. When Diana leaves, Sophia tries to practice with a glass of water to see how she can control it, but her attempts fail. At night, she thinks she imagined having the power to move water, but that's something impossible to believe, and she feels crazy for thinking it could happen, or that she could tell the water drops to stay in place and they'd stop. But Sophia is shocked when she sees the raindrops left from the rain actually stop moving. The next day, Sophia goes to school and Diana decides to draw her the friendship tattoo. Sophia gets nervous in the bathroom, afraid her water manipulation abilities will be revealed, and asks Diana to change location. Diana tells her she's almost done and mentions that when Lobo walked her home yesterday, he suspected someone was following them. Diana tries to turn on the water, but Sophia stops her, worried, and says what happened at the well yesterday might have broken the water pipes. Diana says what affected her and caused her stress was what happened with Amelia, and assures her that everything that happens has a scientific explanation, and that they are close. From the mountain range and what happened in the wilderness is natural, and also in the city, many strange things happen that you have to get used to. Sophia arrives with Taco at the lake and asks him about the legends that are told about it, and about the stories that say the water has special properties. Taco tells her that people believe the water of Lake Selenkay is sacred. Taco walks around and suddenly one of his colleagues bumps into him, causing his stethoscope to fall into the lake. He is surprised when Sophia dives after it into the water, so he quickly jumps in to save her. In the midst of all this, all their colleagues are watching them, shocked. After a few moments, Sophia comes out with the stethoscope and helps Taco out of the lake. The teacher approaches them and scolds them for not thinking before acting, as the water is very cold. Taco appears unable to hear her well, so Sophia sympathizes with him and gives him the stethoscope. Taco thanks her for saving his life and tells her that he can't hear with his left ear without the stethoscope. Sophia says she hadn't noticed that before, so Taco explains that no one notices except himself and tells her that he has just shared one of his secrets. He asks her to share a secret in return. When he notices she is nervous, he tells her he is just joking. Later we see Sophia in Diana's room. Diana enters and offers her a drink, making it clear it's not free because she wants Sophia to tell her how she managed to dive into the water without freezing, unlike Taco, who was clearly exhausted. Sophia tells her she lived for a long time in polar villages and is used to low temperatures. Diana insists that's not the real reason and there must be a theory she hasn't discovered yet, so she decides to run experiments on Sophia. Sophia says she won't dive again, but Diana reassures her, saying she knows what she's doing. She shows Sophia a model of the workshop and tells her the drink cups are the barrels that were in the workshop. Sophia reminds her of the explanation she gave earlier, but Diana says that when new questions arise, theories must evolve. At that time, we see Jill, Raphael, and Michael performing a strange ritual, summoning the fire ruler. We return to Diana, who tells Sophia that what happened in the workshop and at the lake are connected. She asks Sophia to tell her what happened in the workshop, but Sophia says she doesn't remember, and it's clear she is upset because she has to lie to her friend. Diana pretends to set fire to the model to see Sophia's reaction, and her plan succeeds. Sophia gets nervous and manages to control the movement of the water and extinguish the fire. After a while, we see Raphael gathering his siblings and telling them he tried his power on Loba and she was affected, which means she's not the one they're looking for. He tells them he plans to try his power at the bar's opening party to see who among Pedro's children will be affected, since Michael told him that Volks behaves strangely at school and always wears gloves. He suspects she has a superpower, but she's not the one they are looking for. He explains that Aurora is the only one not affected by his power. On the other hand, we see Pedro and Iris telling Sophia that they won't allow her to attend the party. Sophia gets upset and asks if they're punishing her because she got them summoned by the school. At that moment, the water tank starts to move. Pedro continues, telling her that she didn't come home with her sister as they asked and went to her friend's house without permission. Sophia says that happened a long time ago, but Iris insists they haven't forgotten, and that's why she can't attend the party tonight. Sophia goes to her room upset, thinking she won't go to the party, and has also lost her only friend. We learn that there was a rift between Sophia and Diana after the experiment where Sophia discovered her power. Sophia decides to contact Diana, thinking about how to tell her she doesn't want to be interrogated all the time, but also doesn't want Diana to be upset with her. She tells Diana she's upset because they haven't spoken in a while. Diana reminds her that Sophia was the one who decided to ignore her for a week. Sophia admits she was wrong, but insists that Diana kept asking about the experiment when she didn't want to answer. Diana is surprised that Sophia doesn't trust her. Sophia assures her it has nothing to do with her, and suggests they go to the party together and forget everything. Diana says she won't go, so Sophia tries to lure her by saying Loba will be there. Diana agrees to go but says she doesn't want to talk to Sophia. Sophia says she still doesn't know if she'll be able to go because she's grounded. Then Sophia decides to sneak out to attend the party, planning to go and return without anyone noticing. She meets Volks, who tells her that if she doesn't let her come along, she'll scream. Sophia asks her to hurry before anyone sees them. At night, Sophia arrives at the party very happy because it's the first party she's ever attended. When she approaches the tree, she remembers the fire that happened there. Sophia sees her and asks what she's doing there. Sophia is surprised and asks him the same, and why he's dressed like that. He tells her he works at the bar. At that moment, Raphael arrives and asks Loba to go back to work, then asks Sophia where they met before. Sophia remembers seeing him at the park and mentions the opening. Raphael is glad she likes the place. After a while, Sophia meets Taco, who tells her he's glad she's at the party, especially since he never attended any of Amalia's parties because they were too loud. He asks her to dance with him, because he wanted to come to the party to dance with the girl who jumped into the lake to save him. At the moment, Sophia gets nervous and notices her drink starting to react to her power, so she tries to control it. Suddenly, she drops her drink and Loba comes to clean it up. Sophia tells Taco that his talk about dancing made her nervous and says she'll be back in a bit, deciding to avoid him. Then Jill meets her and starts flirting, saying her dress is beautiful, and suggesting they go outside for a bit. Sophia immediately agrees because she wants to get away from the tension inside. When they go out, Jill notices she's tense and asks if Taco is the reason. Sophia assures him she's fine, and just needed some air, and says Taco has nothing to do with what happened, because he's a nice person. When she notices Jill is upset, she tells him he's also a nice person. Jill is surprised that she thinks Taco is special. Sophia tells him there's something unique about him. She says she likes the way he talks, his gestures, and his confidence, and admits that sometimes she feels different from everyone around her. Jill asks how. Sophia assures her favorite song, stops talking, and they start dancing. Sophia notices a strange spark between them, but insists on dancing with Jill.
When she tries to get closer, he pulls away and says he wants to go inside. The party starts and Sophia enters the party feeling upset and confused about what happened. She suspects that Jill suddenly realized he isn't interested in her. Even though there are many people around her, she still feels lonely. At that moment, McConnell asks the guests to participate in the party and for someone to come up and sing. When he notices that no one has the courage, he tells them that the lighting will choose someone. The spotlight falls on Sophia. When she tries to avoid it, Amelia grabs her and deliberately embarrasses, but asking her to show everyone how people in the polar villages sing. Sophia asks Amelia to show her how people here sing too. When Sophia goes up on stage, it turns out she's very happy because she finally feels she's managed to adapt to those around her. At that moment, Raphael takes advantage of the guests being distracted by the song and decides to use his power to find out who has the opposing power. Suddenly the water pipe bursts, as if it's protecting the guests from Raphael's influence. Suddenly a blaze appears on Jill, and he runs away. The Lynx follows him to find out what's happening, and is shocked to see both his and Raphael's appearances have changed, with fire coming out of their eyes. Then we see Taco checking on Sophia, and telling her she looked good when he saw her leaving the party. Sophia tells him something strange is happening. To her, Taco asks her to tell him because he might be able to help. When he notices she's sad, he holds her hand and tries to comfort her. Sophia wishes she could tell him the truth, but decides to hide it. Taco tells her his aunt always says that there are things we can't understand, but that doesn't mean we deny them. We must learn to live with them, no matter how strange. Sophia tells him his aunt is very optimistic. He tells her his aunt is a member of the Hakima people, the indigenous people of the area, and many people travel from all over the world to meet her because she says all the answers people seek are here in nature. Raphael insists they need to reach Aurora, and that no one is helping them think. Jill tells him that all his actions have become reckless. Raphael says he should thank him because he intervened at the right time before Volix exposed them. Since they have superpowers, they need to be sure about Badra, Karis, and Sophia as well. Jill suggests leaving this mission to him because he doesn't agree with testing their powers on the townspeople. On her way back, Sophia decides to confess to her siblings that since she arrived at this place, she's felt something strange happening with the water. She reminds them of when she fell in the lake and came home without any injuries, and they were all surprised. She tells them that when she went to town with Diana, a fire suddenly broke out, but when she got anxious, the fire went out. When she got home and said she wanted the raindrops to stop, they stopped. She tells them what happened with Amelia and at the party, and she has no explanation for any of it. She begs them to talk. Volix tells her they need to talk to their parents. Sophia is surprised because she's telling them she can control water, and they want her to talk to their parents. Instead of helping her, she leaves them and walks away. Volix tells Lobo they need to tell their parents what happened. Lobo asks her to give him a few minutes to process what's happening because they've spent 15 years not knowing what makes Sophia special, and now they know. He runs after Sophia and reassures her that they won't talk to their parents. He tells her the water pipe might have just broken, and she had nothing to do with what happened at the party. Volix approaches, and Sophia asks her opinion about what's happening. Volix blames her for insisting on telling their parents. Sophia tries to explain that she wants to tell them because they asked them to keep an eye on her, but she begs her and says she wants to tell them because they're the only ones who can help her and understand the reason behind her supernatural ability. Sophia assures them that everything happening to her is real, and she can control water. She doesn't want her parents to know because if they do, they'll restrict her even more out of fear. She promises to tell them herself once she understands what's happening to her. Lobo gives her 1 day. After that, Sophia goes to school on her day off and meets Diana. She tells her she agrees to let her help and explain what's happening to her. Diana asks why she chose that place. Sophia says she chose it because she could have hurt Emilia when the well exploded in her face. Diana asks her to stand in the same spot and asks if, at the time, she was looking at the well or at Emilia. Sophia says she wasn't looking at anything specific, but was just wishing Emilia would be quiet. Diana asks her about her feelings at the time. Sophia says she was annoyed and shocked because she started hearing a strange noise, like water moving forcefully. They go to the well to continue talking. Diana starts explaining to Sophia that every time she can control water, she feels a certain emotion, like embarrassment, fear, or happiness. At that moment, Jill approaches and greets Sophia, who notices he looks tired. Jill says he has a cold. Diana is surprised by his appearance and the way he looks at Sophia. Sophia tells her he tried to approach her at the party, but she rejected him. Diana blames her for only mentioning this now and goes back to explaining her relationship with water. She tells her that water is affected when her emotions are strong, as if her mood affects the state of the water, and a part of her body warns her about what will sound she hears. Sophia gets anxious when she realizes she's supposed to suppress her emotions because she could flood the whole town. Diana advises her to try to control her reactions until they find a way to manage her powers. At that moment, a drop of water falls on Sophia, and she gets scared, runs away, and forgets her water encyclopedia book. Later, Sophia meets Diana at school, and Diana tells her she unfortunately failed to find a scientific explanation for what's happening to her. When she read about water manipulation abilities, she found out Sophia's case is unique. Sophia is upset and says she doesn't want to be a unique case, she just wants to know how to deal with what's happening to her. Diana comforts her and assures her she needs time. Sophia insists she doesn't have time because she asked her siblings for one day before they tell their parents what's happening to her. She thinks about finding another way to understand what's happening and asks Diana about Taco's aunt. Diana says she knows her and that she has information about everything and allows her to go meet her until she finds an explanation for what's happening.
After that, we see Volux talking to Lobo and telling him she felt a strange sensation at the party. Lobo asks if she suddenly felt high temperature and dizziness. Volux is surprised and asks how he knows. Lobo tells her that's what he experienced when he first started working for Raphael. Volux remembers that Raphael was holding her in a room and interrogating her, and she is not able to remember what she said to him, as if her memory has been erased. At that moment, Sophia arrives and tells him that Taco asked her to come to his house to study together. He reminds her that Lobo has a punishment and is forbidden from going out. Sophia tells him that their father only banned them from leisure outings, not study sessions. Sophia arrives at Taco's house and meets his aunt, Navira, who tells her that Taco said she has spent most of her life in nature reserves because of her parents' work, and she finds her life exciting. Sophia assures her that her life is actually full of loneliness, not excitement, as she has lived away from people for a long time. Navira asks Taco to leave them alone and continues her conversation with Sophia, explaining that life in nature must include isolation and contemplation so a person can truly know themselves. Sophia confides that she feels a strange connection and comfort towards Navira, as if she has known her for years. Navira tells her that fear and lack of trust are what prevent people from getting close to others. Sophia looks at the pictures and notices a photo of a young man named Patrick. Navira tells her he was a friend from years ago, and because he loves traveling, she hasn't seen him in a while. Sophia says what caught her attention is that Patrick appears in the photo with a statue of a woman. Navira explains that it's just the reflection of sunlight and asks her if it's Lags Tina. Sophia becomes nervous and says she probably won't have answers to her questions. Navira explains that sometimes the problem lies in the questions, not the answers. Sophia becomes tense because she wants to scream but can't speak, and the water starts moving because of her emotions. At that moment, Jill is flipping through a water encyclopedia, and it becomes clear that Sophia possesses a supernatural power. We return to Navira, who asks Sophia to state her question, puts a feather in a container, and the feather begins to move. When Sophia notices the feather moving, she asks Navira how she did it. Navira tells her that Sophia herself did it, and tries to calm her and help her control her breathing. Sophia asks why this is happening to her, and Navira explains that every person has a gift. Meanwhile, Jill confirms that Sophia is the one they're looking for, and decides to burn the book. Then we see Pedro and Iris talking to Luba and Volx, telling them this is not their first time in the city of Rio Vivo. They were here 15 years ago when they took custody of Sophia and were asked to raise her like any normal family. Volx asks if they knew Sophia had the ability to move water, and Pedro confirms they only just found out, as 15 years ago, they were only asked to protect her. Iris explains that they hid certain things from them because they were children, but now they want to understand more about what's happening to Sophia. They tried to contact those who gave her to them, but no one answered. Volx asks if they're supposed to protect Sophia from the Phoenix family, because they also have supernatural abilities and she was exposed to something like hypnosis. Iris says the same thing. It's possible they have powers like them. Volx is shocked, as she thought they were unique. Iris explains that there are many people like them with special powers and missions, and that their mission is to maintain balance between humans and nature. She suspects the Phoenix family has a mission connected to Sophia, but doesn't understand why, and tells them they must contact Navira, as she gave them this mission. Meanwhile, Navira tells Sophia that she once knew someone like her with water-related powers, and all she did was accept what was happening to her. Sophia becomes anxious and says she feels regret and fears it will never work because she doesn't know how to handle this power and is afraid it will cause an explosion or hurt someone. She's also afraid to tell her parents because they're very protective, and if they find out she has a supernatural power, they'll stop her from doing many things she loves. She feels frustrated when she notices the water moves because of her emotions. Navira tells her she doesn't have answers to all her questions, but what she can do is help her and lighten her burdens. The next day, Sophia decides to confess to Iris that she met someone who understands what's happening to her. Iris asks who this person is, and Sophia tells her it's Taco's aunt Navira, who helped her and restored her self-confidence. She says her name is Navira, and that her power is a gift and she can teach her how to control it. Sophia is surprised that Iris let her go to Navira's house even though she used to forbid her from dealing with strangers, but Iris tells her Navira isn't a stranger because she's Taco's aunt and agrees because Navira might help her and she doesn't want her to feel lonely. Sophia is even more surprised, as it's the first time she's seen Iris act this way towards her. Then we see Iris and Pedro meeting Navira and blaming her for contacting Sophia before talking to them. Navira assures them she did so because they acted wrongly from the start when they returned to the city, and explains that what they did was a huge risk for Sophia. They assure her they only did it to protect Sophia, as she always wanted to make friends, and they were afraid she'd run away. Iris asks if Navira knows anything about the Phoenix family, because they suspect they aren't normal humans. Navira tries to reassure them, and asks them to leave this matter to her. At that moment, Sophia arrives with Taco. Pedro hugs her as if saying goodbye, and Sophia assures him she'll only leave for a day. Navira takes her and begins to teach her more about her power, telling her that over time she'll be able to do great things with it. She asks her to close her eyes and feel the breeze and the sound and smell of the tree beside her, teaching her the first lesson not to rush, to be patient with whatever happens, and over time she'll be able to connect with everything around her, learn to coexist and achieve balance. Sophia closes her eyes and sees someone falling into the water and bleeding. She opens her eyes upset and tells Navira she can't do it. Navira explains that she won't be able to do it all at once, calms her and asks her to return to training. Over the days we see Navira teaching Sophia how to communicate with nature, practicing balance exercises until she succeeds. Then Sophia is able to control her power to move water. Later Sophia prepares to return home and sees an old book in Navira's library, starts browsing through it, and at that moment Navira arrives, takes it from her, and tells her that Lobo is waiting for her in the forest. On her way, Sophia remembers Navira's advice to trust her instincts and avoid any place with light. When Sophia arrives at the place where she's supposed to meet Lobo, she discovers he isn't there, so she sends him a message asking him to let her know if he won't meet her, so she can continue alone. At that time, Lobo is in the forest, and Mikael and Raphael appear to them and use their powers. He appears to be afraid. We go back and see Sophia and she receives a message from Gil and asks her to meet him because he wants to tell her important things. Mikael and Raphael blame Jill for not being with them, and Jill tells them he had more important things to do. At that moment, Sophia comes out, and on the other hand, we see Iris and Pedro searching for Sophia in the forest. Pedro starts blaming Iris because he didn't want to return to the city, but she insisted. Iris tells him it's her fault because Sophia had run away from her more than once before. Pedro apologizes to her because he's stressed and doesn't know what to do. Then we go back to Mikael and Raphael, who are gathered around Sophia as if they've found a prize. Raphael asks her if she minds being called Aurora. Sophia mocks him and insists she's not Aurora. Raphael asks her why she came back after years, and explains that her family, like them, has supernatural abilities, shocking her by saying they're not her real family. Sophia assures him she doesn't know what he's talking about, so Raphael decides to use his power to test her. Sophia appears exhausted and is about to lose consciousness when Gil intervenes, reminding Raphael that he asked him not to use that method. Raphael insists she's Aurora, and Sophia pretends the power has taken over her to mislead them. At that moment, Sophia gathers her strength and put out the fire. Later, Pedro and Iris return home and are shocked to see Lobo injured. They are told by the Phoenix family that they saw her and searched their office, deciding to punish him. Iris asks Felix to stop sharpening her claws, and we understand that her power is in her claws. They consider contacting the mayor to help them find Sophia. At that moment, Sophia enters, and when she sees Lobo, she worries about him and asks what happened. Iris tries to hide it from her, telling her he fell and got hurt, but Sophia doesn't believe her because she sees burns on his body. Lobo reassures her that he's fine. Pedro asks her where she was, and she tells him that when Lobo was late, she decided to walk alone. Sophia goes to her room and thinks about calling Gil but changes her mind, feeling that everything between them ended before it even started. At that moment, she receives a message from Gil asking her to call him. Sophia replies that she doesn't know how she can trust him again. Gil assures her that he can't trust her either and is unhappy with what Raphael did, apologizing to her. Sophia responds emotionally, asking if she did something to make him not trust her, and reminds him that he said he wanted to talk to her, only to be surprised by his brother's presence. She tells him she wants to understand what happened, but can't believe him. Gil asks her to meet so he can talk to her face to face, but she refuses, asking why his brother said her family is like theirs. Gil assures her that her family is hiding something important from her and asks if she remembers why they always made her live in isolated places and never revealed their powers to her. He tells her she shouldn't trust them. The next day, Navira goes to meet Iris and Pedro and tells them she discovered the truth about the Phoenix family and wants them to leave the city. She explains that they are on a mission like them and are tracking Sophia. Iris asks her for information they don't know so they can protect Sophia. Navira tells them that the Phoenix family is called the Fire Siblings, and they were sent by Sophia's uncle. Sophia returns home and is shocked to find her family preparing to move the park again. She recalls Gil's words and asks them to tell her the truth. Pedro explains that it's because of his work and they need to move the park again. Sophia asks who they really are, knowing they're lying, and insists she won't leave until she knows the truth. Pedro gets upset and tells her they won't leave against her will. Iris approaches and promises to explain everything on the way. Sophia breaks down and tells her she can't leave because she now has a friend in this city. Afterward, Sophia decides to run away from home. We go back in time and learn that Aurora, Sophia's mother, had a supernatural power connected to nature and loved an artist named Patrick. When she became pregnant with Sophia, she decided to leave him because she knew he couldn't protect her. She asked Navira to help her take her daughter to the city and let her live a normal life. Back to the present, we see Sophia entering the brothel and telling Gil that she wants to know the truth. Gil, Mikalo, and Raphael gather around her and perform a fire summoning ritual, needing her among them. At that moment, Navira arrives and manages to extinguish the fire, telling them that Sophia is not Aurora, the one they're looking for. Raphael asks who she is. Suddenly, Sophia manages to use her power, overcomes Raphael and escapes with Navira. Sophia and Navira arrive at a distant cave, and Sophia starts asking her for the truth, wanting to know who Aurora is. Navira tells her that Aurora was exceptional like her, and could communicate with everything around her, but unfortunately she left forever. She tells her that when she first met Aurora they became friends, and since then Aurora shared all her secrets with her. Navira surprises her by revealing that Aurora is her mother, and when she became pregnant, she hid it from Patrick, her father, who was just an ordinary human, to protect him. She turned Pedro and Iris from creatures of nature into human form so they could protect her. Sophia asks if the Phoenix family is like hers. Navira tells her she can't understand their nature, but explains that there are many creatures like them living among humans, and that nature has two forces controlling everything: water and fire. Navira continues, telling Sophia that her mother had the power to control both water and fire, and that she was a being with great power. Sophia realizes she's the daughter of an exceptional sacred being. Navira tells her she's also the daughter of an ordinary human, making her unique and with very strong energy, and if she learns to control it, she can create a great life. Navira warns her that the Phoenix family doesn't have good intentions and cautions her not to trust them. She asks her to listen to Pedro and Iris and leave the city immediately. Navira tells her that when Aurora left her she was very sad and cried so much that her tears pierced the rock. Sophia goes to that rock and talks as if communicating with Aurora, thanking her for everything she did for her and feeling that this is the right time to make her decision and choose the path she will take after learning the truth. At that time we see Raphael talking to Lucio, the owner of the blacksmith shop they rented, asking about Navira because he wants her and is looking for her. Lucio refuses to help him and threatens to expose the truth about their sect and their strange rituals to the whole city. Raphael gets angry and uses his power against Lucio. Gil intervenes, trying to save him, and calls for help, but Lucio advises him to run because he sees he's not like them, and then dies. Gil tries to talk to Sophia, but she refuses and knows he was using her all along to get to Aurora. She assures him she'll never trust him again. When Gil tries to approach her, she uses her power against him and stops him. Afterward, Gil manages to convince her that he lied to Raphael to save her and decided to escape but wanted to say goodbye before leaving. Sophia is shocked and asks where he's going. Gil tells her he's escaping to a faraway place so his brothers can't find him, because if he disappears, they won't be able to summon the fire ruler, and Sophia asks him if the fire ruler is the one who transformed them into human form. Gil confirms to her that he can't give her more information than that because he wants to escape before his brothers arrive. Sophia starts blaming him for luring her and bringing her to them, but Gil explains that Raphael committed a terrible crime and he can't trust him again. He assures her that he's going to escape because he's afraid Raphael might hurt her, but Sophia tells him she won't let him leave until he explains why they're chasing her. Gil tells her they want to reach Aurora, and Raphael decided to chase her because he thinks she could help them with the mission assigned by the fire ruler. He confirms that he always wanted to tell her who he was, but couldn't, and says goodbye before leaving. Sophia remembers her feelings for him and decides to run away with him. At night, Sophia and Gil reach a distant place. Gil asks her why she trusted him, and Sophia tells him she got used to trusting her feelings, and when she heard him, she felt he was telling the truth. Gil confesses that from the first time he saw her in the forest, he felt attracted to her, even though he had never felt that way before. Sophia assures him that she likes him too, even though his reaction at the party shocked her. Gil apologizes and tells her that day he was confused and didn't know what to do. In the morning, Sophia receives a message from Diana telling her that everyone knows she ran away with Gil. Gil tries to calm her and tells her he plans to continue his journey with her. They start planning where they'll escape to, what jobs they'll do, and how they'll live, and it shows they're very happy with their dreams and future plans. At that moment, Sophia receives a message from Diana telling Gil that Diana will come to them and bring food. Gil says he'll go out to get firewood. After a while, Sophia is shocked when she sees Michael, and we find out that he and Raphael followed Diana and managed to find Sophia's location. They try to pressure her to reveal Gil's whereabouts, because their power is useless without him. Meanwhile, Sophia's family is tracking her trail in the forest, trying to reach her. Pedro suggests they split up, and each searches the area. Suddenly they encounter Raphael, who attacks him. He fights with Pedro, and both lose consciousness. A clash occurs between the Phoenix family and Pedro's family, with each member using their powers. We return to Sophia, who tries to break her restraints to escape. At that moment she hears her mother's voice, and realizes her family is in danger. Gil enters, frees her, and asks her to escape quickly, because he saw his brothers in the forest. Sophia tells him she can't escape and leave her family in danger, and suggests he escape with Diana. Gil refuses, saying he can't leave without her. Sophia explains that she has to go back to save her family. Before leaving, Gil tells her that her power is greater than the three of them because water can kill them easily. Sophia enters the forest and sees Raphael and Michael surrounding her family with fire. She intervenes to save them. Raphael and Michael decide to attack her with fire, but she manages to confront them. Pedro tries to intervene to defend his family, but Raphael attacks and kills him. At that moment, a tear falls from Sophia's eye, causing the ground to shake beneath their feet. Water droplets start emerging from the ground until they engulf Raphael and Michael's bodies and destroy them. At that moment, Pedro regains consciousness, and his family rejoices that he is still alive. After a while, Sophia returns to her life with her loving and protective family. She finds a letter, and when she asks her father, he tells her it's in the mailbox. Sophia opens the letter, and when she reads it, she decides to tear it up. 6 months later, Sophia returns to school. We see her holding the medallion Gil gave her, looking sad. Diana intervenes and suggests she let her dye her hair to help her get out of the depression she's been in for months. Sophia tells her that the experiment she wants to try on her hair might make her even more depressed. She leaves and meets Taco, greets him, and then we see Sophia walking in the city. She goes to meet her family, and they scold her for not seeing them for a while. Sophia apologizes and says she's been busy with her studies. She asks her parents for permission to walk alone, and Sophia arrives at the lake, surprised to see Gil watching her. She decides to follow him to find out why he disappeared all this time. Sophia enters the forest behind him, but suddenly he disappears as if he was never there, and a strange person appears in front of her. When she approaches him, she is surprised that he knows her name. Sophia asks him if they know each other, and he says no, but they will get to know each other at the right time. He tells her he is Kieran, her uncle, the fire ruler. Sophia is shocked when she discovers that Gil deliberately lured her again to fall into Kieran's trap, and so the first season of the series ends. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more